breaking out the Brady board for this one. So there is a very powerful tool that I like to use for self-discovery. And it is called the Johari window. Named for its creators, Joseph and Harrington. So here's how this works. Okay, we have these like 4 quadrants of the window that represent dimensions of the self that we can look at and say, how much do we really know? And where do certain things about our personality live in comparison to others? So these are the 4 categories. There are things that are known to the self and known to others. Okay? This is like really observable parts of your personality, right? We can tell that like Sunny is quiet. He knows that. Everyone else knows that. We'll start filling that in first. Often this is really the basic stuff. Like, I know I'm a therapist, you know I'm a therapist. It could just be like personality characteristics. Like if I feel like I have a good sense of humor and you think so too, like that's all gonna live here, right? This area is called the arena in this model because it's the dimension of the self that receives the most scrutiny, judgment, or any kind of appraisal, good or bad, right? But things can often be contentious there because they're out in the open, right? There's very little vulnerability there. What's known to self and known to others. We then have this area that is not known to self, but is known to others. Not known to self, but is known to others. And that is our blind spot, okay? This is stuff that shows up in your behavior or in your personality that it's like kind of hard for you to see. The classic example is like, I'm not upset. I'm not in a bad mood. Why would you think that? Right? Like anyone else can see. It's known to others, but not known to the self. We're blind to it, right? Because we're suppressing some kind of emotion. We're suppressing some kind of quality of our own. Like there's a lot of denial that goes into the blind spot. It's possible that we're shoving things over that way, or it's possible that we were never aware of them to begin with. Like, for example, that I tend to have like a kind of a negative impact on people in my environment. Like, I think I'm being like sort of witty and fun and charismatic, but like, it's like totally blind to me that everyone finds this like kind of off-putting, right? This all ends up in the blind spot. Other people know this, we don't. We then have things that are known to the self, but not known to others. Known to self, not to others. This stuff is private. It's your secrets. It's your insecurities. The things that we keep behind the facade. There is some stuff that you will take to the grave, right? That you don't publicize to people. It doesn't have to be negative things. There just may be things that you're private about, like certain interests that are just known to you and not known to other people. And it also doesn't have to be like protective. It just could be that like you just haven't had the opportunity to introduce it to people. If you're a very like quiet person, like Sunny is, there's probably a lot that's known to himself that's not to other people, simply because like he just doesn't have the opportunities or the social aptitude to get it out, right? Like it just doesn't come up. If you ever get to know someone who's typically like kind of socially anxious, you start to discover lots of qualities about them that like you never knew existed, and most people don't, because they're kind of hiding behind like the facade of someone who is like nervously protective of more vulnerable parts of themselves. So this can be a very precious, contentious area as well. Then we have the last quadrant. Not known to self, not known to others. The unknown. So here is our window of personality, okay? There are things we know about ourselves and that other people know as well. Very public information. There are things that we know about ourselves that is not known to other people. More private information. There are things that are known to other people but not known to ourselves. Things in our blind spot. And there are things that we don't know about ourselves and no one else does either. Okay? And when I think about little Sonny Brady here, and his relationship with Omori and this place that we're in, I have a sense that something is about to move around this window for Sunny, whatever we're about to discover here. Because that's a big part of this. Where something starts doesn't necessarily mean that it's there forever, okay? Like things that are in our blind spot that we become aware of, they shoot over here into the arena. Sometimes when we are less protective over something, we bring this up into the arena as well. If there is a kind of suppression going on, it's very possible that we privatize that or push it into the unknown, right? Or something we are aware of falls into the blind spot, right? There's all kinds of travel that could happen here, but let's get a little profile of little Sonny Brady here. And I won't go too in depth with this because we'll build it over time, but like what's known about him very obviously is that he's quiet, okay? We can see that, everyone else can see that, he can see that. It's known to self, known to others. We know he's grieving. We know that he's a shut-in, but we don't know why. And that's where people on the outside looking in will start to fill in the blanks of why, right? They'll look at the observable information that we can see and say, oh, he's a shut-in, he's quiet, he's grieving. That must be basically all there is. Like his sister died, he's a shut-in. Of course that makes sense, he's quiet. You know, the case solved. But I wonder what's known by Sonny that's not known by other people about this. Like, specifically, why he is a shut-in. I think there's aspects of that he's aware of that other people aren't. And at the same time, I can also imagine that the consequences of being a shut-in are somewhat in his blind spot. He's been in there for like 3-4 years, was it? Like, it's not super obvious when you're in that depressed state of mind to be hyper aware of all of the things that like we're neglecting or not taking care of. Like, in fact, there's probably so much going on in Sonny's blind spot that anyone who interacts with him like for the first time is like, why is this kid holding a knife in the middle of the park? You know, it's kind of strange. It's kind of strange, okay? Sonny does not seem to be as aware or in tune with that. Like, he just thinks it's normal because he's in fucking headspace. Like, the strange, slashy behavior is kind of in his peripheral at this point. He can't see it. He can't see that it's kind of dangerous, kind of unhealthy. What other people also don't know is that Omori exists. Right? Sonny is aware that Omori exists, we think. Okay? Possibly Omori exists sort of on the line here between unknown and facade. But other people do not know about this fantasy world that he's having in his mind. They're not aware of what he cares about, because that's all being concentrated here, and he's not verbalizing it. Like, as of the last time we were in the real world, like, the other kids have no idea that Sonny is still so attached to them. Like, Basil seems very confused about what Sonny feels towards him. Aubrey feels very distant to Sonny. Kel's doing his best, but I also think he doesn't have a great read on what Sonny cares about either. He's basically dragging him around. What he cares about, what he feels about most things, no one really knows, right? So, like, he's not just a shut-in physically, he's a shut-in emotionally, to himself even. And so the question becomes, what is here? Because we're in this space right now that's like, we've like suppressed something even further than like, I'm aware of it, but no one else is. We've pushed it down this way. And so Omori really does exist on the boundary of the facade and the unknown. Like, Omori like lives here as this crossroad of taking things that are very uncomfortable about Sonny's life difficult things to face and porting them over into the unknown, thinking that that is like a sinkhole that protects him, but really it's making him like kind of vapid in his real life. Like, despite how sensitive the facade is, because it's where you keep like your kind of vulnerable gooey bits, like it's necessary. It's necessary for the whole person to have a space that is private, a space that you put things that you're very protective of. And if Sunny is like so damaged by what's there that he's just bringing everything, shutting it all down into the unknown, then like he basically loses being his own person. Like Omori may represent this like attempt at being chaotic good, like let's vortex all of your trauma and all of your bad stuff into this like black hole of headspace so that Sunny doesn't have to face it. But at the same time, that makes him so disengaged from anything up here. And so what would it mean to like discover something there in the unknown and bring it into the facade? What would it mean to discover something that you initially suppressed down to the depths? How would you feel about that? What kind of behavior would then show up here? Would it show up in the blind spot first before it comes here? I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that can happen, right? Like, things may get very messy depending on what we find. So let's make a mess. Oh, yes. Okay. I've reached the end of the lost forest, but the beginning of the truth. I'll tell you a story that has been lost through time. A story about the creation of this reality. Oh, okay, so this is like really... We're about to crack the code of headspace. In the beginning, there only existed two. The dreamer and his room. The dreamer grew weary of his room and created a door that led to many different worlds. Walking the path as a visitor to these worlds, the dreamer would come and go as he pleased. Slips and falls, tumbles and drops. The dreamer's curiosity and clumsy exploration eventually led him to a certain world. One not like the others. One painted with chaos and bathed in darkness. The dreamer slowly became filled with dread. Quiet as they might have been, words of malice quietly crept into his mind. Whispering lies, secrets, and truths. Powerless to silence the noise, the dreamer manifested benevolent entities in his different worlds. Then he compounded his worlds above the dark realm, sealing it with their combined might. Yet despite his valiant efforts, the darkness's presence never abated. Even with new allies, the darkness continued to scrape and scratch at the back of the dreamer's mind. The noise might have subsided, but it never went away. The dreamer could run and bury away his fears, but one still has to face his own reflection. What the dreamer had created was something he could not be a part of, something outside himself. The dreamer's own power was his greatest adversary. Knowledge, or the absence of it, would become the greatest gift. To truly escape the perils of his own faculty and ascend to a blissful state of ignorance, only then would the noise cease to agitate the dreamer's sanity. So the dreamer took on another name and chose to forget himself. From that time on, the dreamer has lived amongst us, simply as an inhabitant of this world, traveling along blissfully, ignorant of his own fabrication. Children, I must warn you. As with all things that are born in and out of this world, an end will threaten this one too. Wait, is that saying what I think it's saying? Is that saying that, like... So, if Omori is, like, not aware of Sunny, then inside of the unknown, which is where Omori lives is another window for Omori, who is unaware of Sunny in his own unknown. Like they... What? Like that? Omori and Sunny will have their own version of this, essentially, right? Like, and something that threatens Omori's world, right? His own sense of self would be Sunny, like, waking up from this dream, like giving up the dream of headspace, finally, like, reintegrating all of his trauma back into either the arena or the unknown. Thus, like, Omori's own headspace, like, collapsing in on itself with all of this, like, coming back out. The dreamer may have subdued the inexorable. The darkness grows still. No bandage can stifle an eternal wound. And there will be a time where its influence will bleed through. Forgetful the dreamer may be of this peril. The peril never forgets to be. Yet the end of this world may be an inevitability. The dreamer is the only one with the ability that can truly set this world free. So Omori's, like, world, it's going to have some similar things, right? Like that he's quiet, but not that he's grieving. That's not a part of this world. What's known about Omori in this world is that he's powerful. He knows that. His friends know that. What's known to himself and everyone else in Headspace is that he's safe here. That's not a reality for Sunny. He's not safe. Like, he's in danger. Oh, that's interesting. So there are some parallels, right? They're both quiet, but there's some anti-parallels as well. Omori is safe while Sunny's in danger. For Omori, we're free, right? We're free to explore, to make of this world what we want, where Sunny is shut in. And there's an attempt for Sunny to be powerful in the real world, but he's like not. Like he's swinging his knife around, but like this is not the environment for that. Like it's a shadow of what he's trying to do, where he gets a sense of power in Headspace. And so I think what we're seeing there is this anti-parallel between, like, Sunny and Omori recognize that he's powerful in Headspace, but for everyone else, this is like a blind spot observation. Like, that's not making him powerful. That's making him dangerous. It's making him more unstable. But Sunny can't see that because Sunny has this, like, echo, this resonance of, like, Omori's powerfulness coming out of the knife, sort of bleeding out into his own world. And for Omori, what's known to self but not known to others is, like, white space. Like, whatever that is, it doesn't seem like the other kids are aware of it. What's known to Omori, his self, but not others, is, like, whatever's going on in his journal. Which, now that I'm making this connection that, like, Omori is not really Sunny so much as he is a part of him, it's the unknown part of him that's, like, protecting him from this stuff seeping out, is, like, the material in his journal. That's not, like, Sunny's imagination. That's Omori's imagination. It's Omori's material. Maybe it's not fair to translate what's in Omori's journal and apply that somehow to anything to do with Sunny. Like, whatever is in there, it's like he knows what's in there. and what it means or how he feels about it, but everyone else doesn't. Like, these kids don't. They don't know that while they're hanging around, you know, in the sunshine and rainbows around the playground, like, little Omori is like, he's drawing it with blood all over it. And does he even know why? Or is that some of Sunny's traumas sort of seeping in and showing up in Omori's journal? Is white space sort of, make that one purple because that's a direct connection. This is getting kind of insane. There's some kind of connection between Sunny's shut-in self and white space. And there's, what I'm wondering is, like, where do his fears live? What he cares about and what he feels, they're over here, but what I'm wondering is, like, there's something about these fears of, like, heights and water and spiders that, like, Sunny doesn't seem to really know why. He just does that. He just goes, I don't want to go there. But we don't have a tangible clue yet of why he's afraid of them, nor does Omori. Because Omori just needs to sort of, like, do a little RPG moment and then he's good. He's over it. But Omori doesn't really know why. Like, the fears are also kind of on that bridge, I think, that's connecting them between each other. And neither of them really have a lot of that because it's kind of falling into the sinkhole of Omori protecting Sunny from things. But as Sunny changes in the real world, it's starting to affect Omori as well. And I think what's even more curious is that I'm not even sure Omori has a blind spot because, like, this is entirely his reality. How could anyone else know something about him that he doesn't know when this is, like, essentially a world built for him? There's no blind spot material, which makes it very hard to develop because, like, a big part of learning and growing is realizing, like, you know, I learn what the consequences of my lifestyle are. I become aware of them. Someone pulls me out, right? Kel is, like, making some of this motion for Omori or for Sunny. When someone says, hey, kid, that's a dangerous weapon that you're holding. It's kind of strange, right? Like, we may become aware of that and reflect on it in a way that, like, kind of shocks us to reality. So your blind spot's really important because that's where you can develop trust with other people to show you what's there. Learning to recognize how things slip into your own blind spot is also really good for, like, self-esteem development, to sort of work your way out of those situations. Yeah, there's a there's a lot going on here. But I think it's suggesting that, like, if Sunny starts integrating, Omori stops being a container. We didn't learn something. Like, we learned, obviously, that how this world was created, how Omori was created, and we learned that Omori is maybe not even aware that Sunny exists, possibly. But we didn't learn what Sunny has suppressed. Which, whatever it is, Omori's also not aware of. Like, if Sunny's suppressing something into his own unknown, it's getting lost in the translative layer of headspace rather than being something that he can integrate at all. It sort of falls out of the entire chart. I might have overcooked. I think my brain's fried now. I might have overcooked that one. It might not be that deep. Bro. What's even sadder about that scene, knowing that, like, knowing that we just deep dive into, like, all this stuff, is that That's Sunny's idea of Hiro and Mari. Like, the wishfulness for them to be together, potentially, or to at least have each other as supports, is like an idea that Sunny is preserving. Like, think about that for a second. He's not just grieving his sister because he loves her. He's grieving all of the versions of her that she was to all of his best friends. He's attaching all of that stuff to Omori, possibly even forgetting it himself. I guess we don't know if, like, if it's showing up in Headspace, does that mean that Sunny's aware of it or not? I think it said Omori's not aware of Sunny, but Sunny could be aware of Omori. I guess I'm not sure. But that's one of the things that, like, Omori is protecting the part of Sunny that is Omori, the unknown, like the actual manifestation of the unknown, is protecting Sunny from realizing what everyone is missing about her as well. Why would that be? What is he suppressing? If part of that is like this anguish over, like, not just his relationship with Mari, but all of these kids' relationship with Mari. Like, does he feel like responsible in a way or something? Like, it's his sister. Maybe he feels responsible, like, because without her, like, he was the only connection they had left to her, and he just sort of disappeared or something. Like, maybe Omori was more of the glue to the group than... Or sorry, maybe Sunny was more of the glue to the group than Mari necessarily was. I mean, is it that simple that, like, his sister passed away and he's just having such extreme grief that it's, like, caused this psychological break that he's invented a whole world and Omori and all of that stuff? But it has to have been, like, particularly bad death. Or did he find her or something? Oh, jeez. That would seriously damage. I wouldn't be surprised to learn that, like, yeah, he found her or something. Like, just the complete unwillingness to sort of accept that image and just completely start sending everything down the vortex of Omori and the unknown. And then she shows up here in Omori's world as, like, just the perfect representation of herself. Just the complete inversion of, like, whatever it meant to him to find her. Maybe she, like, drowned or something. Maybe she fucking drowned. Oh, that could be it. Like finding her in the water or something. Like, it's a terrible, terrible image, but... Oh, man, I don't know. There's, like, a guiltiness to it, though, that the fact that, like, it's a concern for him, that's, like, a kind of a painful thing that, like, other people don't get to experience a future with Mari as well, and Aubrey's friendship with Mari. Like, there's, like, a guiltiness about that. Maybe he found her or something.